Have you ever been super excited to start learning a new language, but then after a few weeks you just stop? Maybe you feel bored or stuck, or you just don't feel like it anymore. Maybe your goal wasn't strong enough from the beginning. You started learning Spanish because it sounded cool, but you didn't really think about how it fits into your life. Or you tried talking to a native and they switched to English immediately. Ouch, that hurts, and I've been there. If that sounds like you, don't worry, you are not alone. Let's talk about why it happens and how to fix this. My name's Anastasia, I'm a language enthusiast and an inspiring polyglot, and this is a channel about language learning, cultures, and motivation. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button in order not to miss similar videos to this one. And now let's get deeper into the reasons of why motivation comes and goes. The first reason is quite simple. The initial excitement just wears off. When you start something new, like learning a new language, it feels fresh and exciting. This is called the honeymoon phase. Your brain gets dopamine boost from the novelty, but once this novelty fades and your learning becomes harder and more routine, this excitement just decreases. The second reason is when goals lack clarity or meaning. If your goal isn't clear enough or isn't deeply personal, it is really easy to lose the sight of why you are learning the language. For example, I want to learn Italian because it sounds nice is much less motivating than I want to learn Italian to be able to talk to my grandmother or to live in Italy. Without this strong connection to your goal, the motivation will fade. The third reason is unrealistic expectations. Many people start with unrealistic expectations of how soon they will progress. When I worked as a teacher, one of the most common questions I heard is how soon will I learn English or Russian, or how soon will I reach B1 level, and so on. And while this question is absolutely okay, sometimes people think that it will take them really fast, or they set this time limit and then if it takes a little bit longer, they get discouraged and unmotivated, because the reality is learning a language takes time and effort, and people can feel frustrated or discouraged when it takes longer than expected. Another reason why it can happen is negative experiences. A bad experience, like talking to someone and getting negative response, for example, they switch to English immediately or they don't understand you, can shake your confidence and kill your motivation. The next reason is the lack of visible progress. When we start learning a new language, the initial progress is really fast and noticeable, and that's why you feel so excited and motivated. But then later, as you go deeper into the language, the progress may be not so obvious. You might be improving, but if you don't feel this progress right away, like understanding a few more words in the song or reading faster, you might get a feeling like you are stuck, and this is why you're not as excited and motivated anymore. Another thing is competing priorities. Life happens. Work, school, family, other responsibilities can take over, making it hard to focus on language learning. When something feels less important or urgent, your brain just naturally deprioritizes this. This is what happens with language learning, because obviously family or work is more important to us. Another reason is burnout. If you push yourself too hard, like cramming vocabulary every day without breaks, you can feel exhausted and overwhelmed. Burnout often feels like a lack of motivation, but what it really is just your brain telling you to go get some rest. And the last thing here is habit loop breakdown. Motivation is closely tied to habits, and when your language learning gets interrupted by a vacation, for example, or an illness, it's really hard to get back into it. So without the structure, your motivation will fade. So these were 8 most common reasons of why our motivation fades and goes away. And now I want to give you 8 actionable steps to fix this and finally learn this language even if you're not motivated anymore. The first step here is to normalize the feeling. Let's get one thing straight. It's completely normal to lose your motivation. It happens to everybody, even to the most dedicated language learners. Think of it like going to the gym. You're not going to wake up every morning excited to go and hit the gym, but consistency is what brings results here. The next step is to accept and embrace it. Motivation comes and goes, and that's okay. You don't have to feel motivated all the time. What is really important is not giving up when the spark is gone. This is where discipline and small habits come into play. The next step here is to revisit your goal. When motivation vanishes, just revisit your goal and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Maybe your initial goal needs some tweaking to feel a little bit more meaningful. For example, I've recently started learning Polish and I was really excited because I had a trip to Poland planned. But unfortunately, my trip got cancelled and I was crushed. I had this opportunity to practice Polish in Poland with native speakers and I don't have this opportunity anymore, and I just wasn't excited and motivated anymore. But after some reflection, I realized that this wasn't the only reason why I started learning Polish, and I reminded myself of this and felt inspired to jump back in again. By the way, I have a video about my Polish learning experiment here, which you can check out here. And now let's move to our next step, which is to build a strong routine. Motivation may get you started, but routine is what really keeps you going. Create a manageable schedule and stick to it, even on days when you are not feeling like it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes even 15 minutes a day works wonders, but you have to build that routine for yourself. I also have a video with my language learning routine, so check this out if you need some inspiration for that. And we're moving to our next step, which is to take a break. Yes, sometimes the best thing you can do is do nothing. Just step back and take a break. Burnout is real, and pushing yourself through it can make you resent learning altogether. A small tip here: during your break, try to surround yourself with your target language, at least to keep learning passively, like listen to music or follow creators who speak your target language. Trust me, after the break you will feel refreshed. The next step is to change things up a little bit. Maybe today your energy is low and you don't feel like studying grammar with a grammar textbook, and that's fine. Change your routine a little bit. Watch a movie today, or listen to some music in your target language, or just go through Quizlet sets with the vocabulary that you already learned previously and refresh it in your memory. Learning doesn't have to be the same all the time, and although you have a routine, if you don't feel like doing something in particular, you can substitute it with something a little bit more exciting to keep yourself going and learning this language. The next step is to use the 5-minute rule. This one is borrowed from social media actually, and I'm sure this happened to you before. You just think, okay, I'm gonna check Instagram or TikTok just for a couple of minutes, see notifications and so on, and then 30 minutes later you find yourself scrolling through TikTok, for example. Take your social media. We can borrow this and use it with our language learning. How? You tell yourself you're going to study the language for just 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. It's not a long time, and even if you feel unmotivated, you can spare 5 minutes and learn the language. What happens next is pure magic. You will find that 5 minutes is not enough, but it's enough to get you excited, and you will want to keep going and learning for a little bit longer. And if not, if it doesn't happen, you've still had 5 minutes, and that's already good. And the last step here, which I hope everybody does, is to surround yourself with the language as much as possible. Immersion doesn't have to mean living in the country. You can change your phone settings, you can follow social media accounts in your target language, you can listen to the music in your target language, you can start a daily journal. There are so many ways to immerse yourself, so you should absolutely do it, so that when your motivation goes away and when you don't feel like studying, you will still keep learning your language even without sitting down and formal learning with a textbook, for example. And the bonus tip here: whenever you feel stuck, try to remember the bigger picture. Try to think about how far you've come already. Maybe you know 50 words and a month ago you knew none. Every step forward matters. Motivation comes and goes, but your progress doesn't have to stop when it does. Whether it's revisiting your goals, changing your routine, or tricking your brain with a 5-minute rule, there is always a way to keep going. And trust me, future you will thank you for not giving up today. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever lost motivation to learn a language, and what helped you get back into it? Drop a comment below and let's inspire each other. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Good luck with your language learning, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!